Alright friends, what's happening? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. Today we're talking about Strasbourg fans protesting against Chelsea. We're talking about Mikel Arteta and Arsenal really wanting Ivan Toney, believing he's the final piece in their project to dethrone Manchester City full-time at the summit of the Premier League table. Should we gazump them for Ivan Toney like we did Mykhailo Mudryk? Maybe. I'm also going to show you some comparison stats between Toney and Nico Jackson, which you're going to find interesting.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Right then, let's jump straight into it. We're going to start off with Strasbourg protesting against Chelsea ownership. And then we'll look at Ivan Toney, what's happening with Arsenal and how Chelsea and Pochettino apparently want him. And by the way, Pochettino's come out and said himself that he's going to be more involved with transfers. He obviously came into the Chelsea project with his eyes wide open and has said many times that he knew exactly what he was walking into in terms of the huge outlay, the huge changing and transition of the squad, the huge investment into youngsters. They obviously spent a lot of time explaining that this was the plan to Pochettino. He agreed, nodded his head, and shook hands and signed up for the job. But now, seemingly, he knows what he wants, and he says he wants to be more involved with transfers. So we'll speak about Toney in just a moment. We are going to jump into the Strasbourg story now. I'll thank you for your interactions, for dropping a like and subscribing if you want to. I'm always urging you guys to drop a comment because I love reading them. All right, let's hop in. Starting from Get French Football News, I want to talk about the Federation of Supporters for Strasbourg because they're not happy with Chelsea buying them. They've posted a statement that we're going to read in just a moment. Also, look, man. Off the bat, I was assuming, I know it's not nice for someone to come in and buy your club, but a lot of money was spent, and there should be an exciting element to it. Right? They said this, quote, following Bluecoat, Chelsea's, purchase of the club, the 2023 transfer window is our first element of analysis and our first major worry. You're sounding kind of familiar. The exclusive recruitment of very young players, sounding even more familiar. Not yet operational and potentially weakened by their over-exposition, as in, like, you know, these kids just being chucked straight in. Yeah, it kind of does feel relevant so far. Combined with the absence of arrivals of more mature players. Right, I've definitely seen this. I've seen this film before, man. I'm just going to turn the aperture up. Ding, not down, up. Of more mature players exposes the club to a sporting risk. Yes, I can resonate fully. Which the owners should have been better protected in terms of protecting us. Bluecoat's imposition of an obligation to buy very young players only is senseless on a sporting level, and the fans don't relate to their team at the moment. Oh my God, it's Chelsea! They've done a Chelsea to Strasbourg. I'm only half jesting. I'm jesting, half jesting. The supporters that maintain that since the purchase of the club, we are only a training centre and a secondary piece of global business. Yeah, so this is the serious part. Having gained credit following this transfer window, which seems far from the announced ambition. So basically they're saying, look, we feel like, yeah, we're getting like investment and stuff, but this is just to nurture Chelsea in the long term, which is to a degree true. Many people are being like, come on guys, like, you know, you'll do better than you did last year. It's worth noticing as well, like, they're currently 15th in Ligue 1, which isn't great, but they finished last campaign they're currently 11th and they finished last campaign in 15th. So, you know, if they finish top half and play some nice football, you'd think or you'd hope that eventually they'd be like, yeah, this is fun. This is fun. The letter then criticised Bluecoat's management of Chelsea. Quote, money without competence doesn't lead to anything good. The example of Chelsea, our so-called, quote, big brother, who have spent a lot of money, have had a vertical fall down the English hierarchy. It's an important reference point. We don't want incompetence that reigns at Chelsea at our club, neither directly or indirectly. They go on to speak about the structure of it. And look, man, I sympathise. I tried to think about this, like, if you were like, Because Strasbourg are a very big French club, you know, they've been knocking around for a while, they've got a good fan. Imagine if Chelsea, like, I know you can't do it internally in league, it's like Chelsea buying Crystal Palace, you know, and trying to get them to, like, into the top 8 rather than the bottom, like, 12 or something. They'd be like, and we started buying Palace loads of players, they'd be like, yeah, but we chant against you lot. I know that's a bad comparison because of course it's the same league and that's not allowed. But it's that kind of thing where you want your club to be your club. So I do have a great deal of sympathy. Of course, I'm a Chelsea fan. I want my club to be better. You know, if this makes them better, that's good. But hopefully I'd like to convince myself and apply certain mental gymnastics to think, well, Strasbourg will go up the league, we'll enjoy watching them and, you know, hope they do well because they're part of us. We could be friends. We could be a familia. But it doesn't seem like it's working out like that. Still, I'll watch them with keen interest. Of course, Angelo Gabriel's doing well there. But they'll be thinking, well, he's just doing well to go back to Chelsea. Which is true. Let me know what you think, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on and talk about the battle for Ivan Toney before we talk about the comparison with Toney to Nico Jackson. Arsenal have stepped, by the way, I'm reading this off Team Talk. Arsenal have stepped up their efforts to reinforce their attack this January. Of course, Arsenal, he wants to win the first Premier League in 18 years. Lol. I mean, ours is already 6 years. Yeah, 6 years. I mean, it's not quite 18 years, but, you know, I laugh at Man United. But will be like, yeah. Ivan Toney is a key target and the club have been keen to work on a potential deal to bring the Brentford man in winter. Can I just say early doors here? I would like Ivan Toney pretty much. I've been sort of saying this for a while. He is a good player and he is a really effective Premier League forward that can press well, that can win aerials. We'll look at this in a second. And he scored 20 Premier League goals for Brentford last season. That is wild. I could only dream of a Chelsea striker scoring 20 Premier League goals. I mean, you know, Diego Costa did it when Chelsea won the league. You know, we had like Eden Hazard and, you know, Kante and, you know, Costa, whatever. With Fabregas? Yeah, of course with Fabregas. Do you know what I mean? Like all these amazing players. And then an amazing striker who had 20 goals. Brother did it for Brentford. The only thing that makes me feel a bit annoyed is Ivan Toney's publicly gone on record saying he likes Arsenal. But, you know, does that matter? Chelsea are also keen and have given Mauricio Pochettino the green light to bring in an experienced striker with Toney ticking all the boxes, like I said before. However, Arsenal understood to be a very strong position. The 27-year-old is a huge fan of the Spaniard side. Yeah, he said this on the Diary of a CEO podcast. I think he said he's a Liverpool fan that likes watching Arsenal. So all the things you don't want to hear as a Chelsea fan, essentially. But Chelsea are strong contenders to sign the England international centre forward. And that is because Paul Winstanley, I understand, the director of football, one of our co-sporting directors, has put in work to sign him and start developing a relationship there. But how good is Toney? First of all, let's have a look at some images I've prepared earlier. Ding! So this is coming from xvalue.com. As you can see, it's heat map. He is a hard worker on the right-hand side there. He runs all over the gaff. In terms of the final third, he likes to occupy, obviously, the 18-yard box, standing where he scores goals, but slightly on the left as well. So I guess he's to combine with Mbueno running on the right-hand side. His performance spider chart in the middle there shows you he is incredible at shooting at the goal. And he is really good at winning aerial duels as well. Not the great at passing, but he's been playing for Brentford, which is like high-risk transitional football at times. So you'd think that would go up in a team like Chelsea. I did think his assisting would be a bit better there. And yes, he is a good player. Let's move on. Next slide, please. As you can see over here, his per 90 stats are really good. He gets a direct goal involvement every... he gets 0.7 free goal involvements per 90. So essentially every game and a half, he gets a goal involvement in the Premier League, which is really frigging good. And again, at risk of sounding like a broken record, he's been doing that for Brighton. His minutes per goal is 148, so it's 180 minutes per 2 games. So it's a lot against more than 0.61 goals per game. Essentially, it was very, very good. Significantly-ish more than a goal every other game, which is what you want. This is how you get 20 goals in the Premier League. Again, he's been playing for Brighton. But how much better is he than Nico Jackson? These stats I'm about to show you have taken Nico Jackson's form from Villarreal, and of course, Villarreal, he was playing as a winger, he was moved up front, but it just shows you the kind of profile and style of plays. I'm getting this from understat.com, which takes like a body of comparison play, and compares them. So let's have a look now. Here we go. Ivan Toney is the green graph, Nico Jackson is the blue graph. Now, expected goals per 90 and shots per 90 is what Ivan Toney is better than Nico Jackson. Now, everything here you see stronger than Nico Jackson. Let me explain quickly. Nico Jackson was largely playing as a winger until he was moved inside and scored a lot of goals. But he had limited minutes as well. That's why his goals per 90 is so good. He ran really, really hot at the end of the season, scored loads of goals for Villarreal. But as you can see here, his goals per 90 is better than Toney, and all these XG chain build-up, all the key passes per 90, expected assists per 90 are all better than Toney, largely because he's playing on the wing. But as well, Nico Jackson is a creative player. We've seen it. Toney's very direct. He runs toward, and again, yes, he's playing for Brentford as part of the plan, but he runs toward goal, knockdowns, second balls, very direct. Nico Jackson wants to play around the 18-yard box. We've seen him do these little flicks and tricks and layoffs and these key passes, and and that's probably largely because he was a winger and was a creative player at wide. But he's tall, he's strong, he's fast, and he's really strong to hold the ball up. So we're like, Villarreal were like, centre forward. He playing as a striker, and he looks like a striker, to be honest. He does not look out of place in terms of profile as a centre forward. Now, of course, this will lead us to January. We get to January. Has Nico been doing it? If he's just gone off the ball and has only scored like one more league goal since then you go, right, he's obviously just not got the juice at the moment. Let's really rival Arsenal for Ivan Toney here. But also, Ivan Toney's 26 years old. Nico Jackson's 22 years old? So he's 4 years younger. Maybe he can just develop into this striker. I'm trying my best not to lose the gas and the hope that I had pre-season. And I've got no real reason to lose it about Pochettino being an excellent coach of young centre forwards. I know Harry Kane was on loan. Was he at Norwich, at Tottenham? I know what's his name, Nobby gave him his debut before Pochettino arrived, but Harry Kane became Harry Kane because of Pochettino. In terms of developmental stuff, that's just what happened. Now, we've got Breuer. We spoke about him maybe going to Inter on loan in the previous upload. Check that out if you're interested in that story. But yeah, I've got to believe that Pochettino can look at a young striker and think, yeah, he can be better. He's already talked up Nico Jackson as could be one of the best strikers in the world. But this new story coming out of Pochettino talking about he wants more control in transfers. Look, we spoke about Jamie Carragher's nonsense about he's not good enough in the team. What's the real glaring weakness in the Chelsea team when everyone is fit? We've got centre-backs, we've got full-backs, we've got midfielders for days. You've got to believe that Cole Palmer, Raheem Sterling now on form, Mykhailo Mudryk, we're covered for wingers, especially Noni Madueke. Looks like he could be very good. And then you've got Nkunku, Jackson, and Breuer that can play striker. So when Pochettino is being a little bit more assertive, talking about, yeah, I want to be involved with transfers now, what is he thinking? Does he just want a senior striker? Is he look at that and say, look, we just need a senior striker. We need like a 27-year-old like Toney. We need someone who's a bit older, who's going to go, not this, just put me in front of goal gaffer. You seem to have the ball around the 18-yard box a lot. Stick me in there, I'll score you goals. You know, no problem at all. And maybe he's looking at Broja, who's like a young, talented guy that scored goals in the academy and on loan, and had a long-term injury, and played in a team like Southampton that probably wasn't great for his development as a centre forward. You got Nico, who's just coming from Villarreal, like quite a good team in La Liga, but a small, club in terms of they're not like a big, well-established club with like millions of fans or whatever. To come to Chelsea, maybe he's thinking, I just need someone a little bit with that juice. Maybe, but I wanted to make a case, with this graphic essentially in defense of Nico Jackson, that maybe he could, the big thing about Tony there is he plays every single game. Of course, Brentford aren't in Europe, Chelsea aren't in Europe, so maybe we have time. Brentford aren't in Europe. They play every single game, every week he trains, every week they plan, and he is just there. Every single time. No one's going to replace him. He's going to start. He's going to play. What happens if you give that to Nico Jackson? Right, you're settled in the Premier League now. I know Chelsea's been a circus and everyone's been a bit unsettled, but we're calming down a bit now. You're going to get what Ivan Toney did. You get to always play. We're going to have chances. Does he start scoring goals and does he start playing well? I just want to put it out to you guys. Let me know what you think. Because it's such a weird one, isn't it? Like, do Chelsea need to spend loads of money on a striker? Is that the real problem? Comment down below, please. I really want to learn your thoughts on this. So please do that. Do that. Please do that. And yeah, other than that, I'll thank you for supporting the content as always. And hopefully I'll see you back here very soon. Peace.